Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special interview session in Tokyo, Japan with IVT Magazine channel. Today, we are very honored to have this opportunity to sit side by side with the very famous Japanese architect Kengo Kuma. So you can say hi to our friends.
Yeah, hi dear friends.
Yeah, hi.
本集节目由华康智云与英威康科技共同赞助播出。华康智云与英威康科技是台湾顶尖智慧建筑管理的领导者，提供建筑物智慧化与永续节能解决方案。
So, I believe many of us have heard some of your stories through different sources. But today, we would like to listen to your stories from your own voice. So, could you please share with us how and why did you choose to become an architect?
Yeah, the big moment for me is the first Tokyo Olympic.
Oh, Tokyo Olympic.
First Tokyo Olympic. So we had second Tokyo Olympic 2021. And the first Tokyo Olympic was 1964. As I was at the age of 10, and my father brought me to this gymnasium, Yoyogi Gymnasium, designed by Kenzo Tange. It was used for the swimming pool, and I was so shocked to see the building. Outside, it looks like the great temple, but it's a very contemporary great temple. It's very monumental, and also interior was amazing. I haven't seen that kind of building before, and I asked my father, who did that as a building? As answer is Kenzo Tange, as a great architect designed that building, and before that day, I didn't know as what is architect, and this is my first day to hear the profession named architect, and on that day I decided to become architect. And this was almost 60 years ago. The 60 years I've been dreaming to be an architect.
Wow, so actually you got inspired by the first Tokyo Olympics.
Yes.
And then the architecture itself.
Yes.
And then you dreamed about to become an architect from such a young age.
Yeah.
Wow, so after you dreamed of becoming an architect, and now you are the very famous star architect of Japan. Could you also share with us what is the stand-up moments or the proudest achievements of yours in the career?
Yeah, the proudest, as the most important moment for me is the birth of bubble economy, the beginning of 1990s.
Yes.
As I started my practice in 1986, and the first 4 years, I was very busy. And I got many projects from the fashion companies, from the developers, but suddenly the 1990s, all the projects in Tokyo were cancelled.
Oh.
And it's a kind of disaster for us, because every project was cancelled, and. But looking back from now, it was a big chance, because I decided to travel to countryside of Japan. Before disasters, I happened to travel to countryside of Japan. I was born in Yokohama. I studied in Tokyo. I was working in Tokyo. So basically, I only knew Tokyo. But when I traveled to the countryside of Japan, I found the beauty of Japan, real beauty of Japan. And also I met many interesting craftsmen. And the quality of their crafts also amazing. But they didn't know the importance of their their works. But I began to think that craftsmanship in the countryside of Japan is real treasure of Japan.
Yes.
If I can work with them, I can create something different from the modernism architecture. It's a big founding. And then the birth of bubble economy, beginning of the 1990s, was most important. The experience for me. And without that experience, I cannot find my approach. I cannot find my philosophy, and everything starts from that is a disaster.
Okay, so I believe that bubble economy incident becoming your turning point of your career.
Yes, yeah, it's a real turning point of my career. And 10 years, 1990s, I didn't find the project in Tokyo. It was 10 years. I was basically traveling and working in the craftsman, working in the countryside with small project. Not many projects in 10 years, but it is a very fruitful 10 years. And without that, the 10 years, I cannot be Kengokuma.
So you have explored the beauty of craftsmanship throughout that 10 years. So just now, like you mentioned about the first Tokyo Olympics, that is something that inspired you to become an architect. And then you yourself have involved the Olympic Stadium design. So could you also share about this project with us?
Yes. And the first Olympic Stadium by Kenzo Tange is a unique shaped concrete building, and inspired me. And the lesson from first Tokyo Olympic Stadium is the freedom of concrete. The concrete can make any shape, and concrete can change the city. It's a big lesson from first Olympic building, but. So I want to give another type of inspiration to young generation. So I use wood for the stadium, and it's very rare to use wood for the big stadium. And the lesson to them is we can go back to wood. So we can go back to nature, and we can go back to human. And that is a totally different lesson from first Tokyo Olympic. But I believe that my building, my design, can change their way of thinking. It can change their way of living. And I want to do that kind of drastic change of way of thinking.
Now you will be very excited to see this kind of concept to be realized in the upcoming Taichung Arena.
The Taichung Arena is also one of the biggest Taiwan project. So we won the competitions almost 5 years ago. It is the circular shaped building. With some natural materials and natural textures, And so we are enjoying working for that project, and maybe it will be one of the most unique sports facility in the world.
Oh, wow. Must be very exciting.
Yeah.
So now I wondered, like, what is the most important element while you're doing your design? Is it materials or design techniques, construction methods, or technologies?
So are important for me.
Okay.
But the material maybe is most important.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Before the 1990s, most of Japanese architects were working with concrete and steel.
Yes.
But for me, after the experience of craftsmanship in the countryside, the concrete steel become my enemy.
Oh. Okay.
I want to work with real natural material.
Real nature.
And without working with the material, the architecture cannot be the friends of human. And that is my finding. And then for every project, I try to find some unique local material which will fit the environment of the place.
Natural materials and how you can combine your design and merge it into the environmental is something that you strive for, right? We know that you have this term called defeated architecture.
Yes.
Yes, and your book about
Yes.
defeated architecture.
Yeah.
Could you also explain about like defeated architecture? Is it something similar to what you mentioned just now, like to have this nature surrounded?
Yes, the defeated architecture is the basis of our design. And it's a kind of criticism to the architects of the 20th century. In the 20th century's architects didn't respect the environment. The meaning behind defeated architecture is respect the environment. And with that kind of respect, so we can create harmony. But it is a kind of reverse method from 20th century architect. And the title of the defeated architecture was very shocking, and the people at the beginning people couldn't understand the meaning behind that. But recently, the people began to understand the real meaning behind defeated architecture. After defeated architecture, I wrote the book Natural Architecture, Small Architecture, and recently we wrote Onomatopoeia Architecture. Onomatopoeia. So onomatopoeia architecture is architectures get inspiration from the natural phenomena. In Japanese language, we often use onomatopoeia. For example, para para, chira chira, kira kira. That kind of kind of word is easy to explain the phenomena of nature. And by designing architecture, I want to represent phenomena of nature. As I am not interested in shape. The shape and the form was the basis of 20th century design. But instead of shape and form, I want to use a word related with natural phenomena. And onomatopoeia is a good way to explain the phenomena. And then the onomatopoeia architecture is my new trend.
So, onomatopoeia is a bit like biomimicry, or is it different?
Yes, it's similar to biomimicry, but it's not only bio. For example, I want to explain the phenomenon of wind. 風がビューと吹く。View is showing the phenomenon of winds. 風がさらさら吹く、風がふわふわ吹く。That kind of onomatopoeia is different, and it is not only for the bio. It is a total natural phenomena that can be explained by onomatopoeia.
Oh, so something intangible, and you're turning into.
Yeah.
Wow. Now back to the architectural industry.
Yes.
Could you please share some of your perspective regarding the current state of architectural industry, maybe in Taiwan or Japan, or even the global architectural industry?
Yeah, the big trend is going back to nature,
and
as in 20th century, as architectural design 20th century was used for industrialization, and as a mass production was the basis of design, and the repeating the standard was the basis of modernism design. But and that is a kind of industrialization gave us a big stress, and especially after COVID, the people strongly want to go back to nature, and going into nature and living with nature is the goal of us after COVID. And architecture design also should as follows that kind of new lifestyle. I sometimes compare the architecture magazine before COVID and after COVID. So before COVID, the many pages are gray, concrete color, steel color. But after COVID, the pages are full of colors. The wooden colors, some soft fabric, that kind of soft materials are occupying the pages of the architecture magazine after COVID. This is a new trend. It is covering all over the world, not only in Japan, not only in Taiwan.
The COVID has changed our life.
Yes.
And this post-COVID times has created many more like new trends and new faces, I think.
Yes.
Yes. So now let's shift gear and have some insights into the future plans of your architectural firm. Could you please share some of your future plans or maybe future goals with us?
Yes, my future plan is one future plan. After COVID is break the Tokyo office. Now, we had a big Tokyo office. But in COVID time, as we should stay in Tokyo, and as we cannot travel to outside of Japan, it's very frustrating. And I began to think that we should go back to the origin of the humanity. The origin means that we are not using building. We are walking around the field, and we are moving around the field. And summertime, the people want to go to the north, and the wintertime, people want to go to the south. And the people are looking for the fruits and the fish, and that kind of the life is the basis of humanity. As I want to go back to that kind of lifestyle. I want to as an escape from the enclosed box.
Oh.
As I found that idea in the period of COVID. And then I decided to break the Tokyo office. So we started to have the small satellite offices in the countryside.
Oh.
For example, the first office, satellite office, was set in Hokkaido. You know Hokkaido? Maybe Hokkaido is very popular for Taiwanese.
Yeah.
And there's also the second one is Okinawa. It's the South Island.
Yeah.
And third one is Okayama, in the forest of Okayama, and the fourth one is Wakayama. Wakayama is also a beautiful city, so close to ocean. And that kind of small satellite offices can give the new energy to us. And that means the Tokyo office is too big. And what we need is to escape from the big city and living with nature, living with the community in the very diverse places. So one idea is also to have the satellite office in Taiwan. Because the Taiwan is a beautiful place. I love the food in Taiwan. To work in Taiwan can give another energy to us. I want to try that kind of new working style, new lifestyle, and it's a new design style.
This is very interesting. I think many people will like to join your team. Like once you have this working system built up, like radiating from Tokyo Center, but you have many places and many different communities. Wow. Thank you, Kuma-san, for sharing your wisdom and journey with us today. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed learning the journey and the architecture with us today. Also, feel free to leave comments below if you have any question. We might get the answers from architectural master himself. Bye bye.
Bye bye, 台湾の皆さん、バイバイ。
So can we just stop?